Look at the style that was there. The music, the jazz. It was the soul of America. And now it's, did he screw his girlfriend up her butt? I mean, that's, did Taylor Swift get laid last night? I mean, look at America. It breaks my heart. And that's why I do everything I can in the name of Occupy Peace and to bring back the spirit of the country that I love so much.
Hello everybody, my name is Paul Buitink and welcome to a new episode of Reinvent Money, a show about money, macroeconomics and geopolitics. I'm thrilled to see that a lot of people have been watching the videos and subscribed to the channel, so thanks so much guys, I'm really humbled by that. Today's guest is Gerald Celente. He's the director and founder of the Trends Research Institute and publisher of the weekly Trends Journal magazine. He's a renowned futurist who's been forecasting trends for more than 40 years now. He foresaw the Iraq War, the Asian financial crisis, the Panic of '08, and much more. Welcome, Gerald. Great to have you on.
Oh, thanks for having me, Paul.
Yeah, like I said in the conversation before we started, I've been following you for, let's say, 15 or 16 years. So it's quite an honor for me to be actually talking to you in person now.
Thank you.
The latest issue of the Trends Journal is titled, "We, the Plantation Workers of Slavelandia, are serfs of robber barons 2.0, like hedge funds, venture capitalists, private equity groups." What do you mean by that?
Once upon a time, when I was a young boy and a young man, there were no such thing as venture capitalists, private equity groups, or hedge funds. They did not exist. Once upon a time, in America, what used to be called the land of opportunity, there used to be grocery stores, drug stores, hardware stores, stationery stores. Now everything is a chain. No longer the land of opportunity. Gone. Facts are all there. You look what happened when the COVID war began back in January 2020, launched out of China on the Chinese Lunar New Year, the year of the rat. And you go to Oxfam and you look at how much richer the billionaires became since then. Look at the data. Only 64% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. Go to all of these chains and look at the door when you go in. Help wanted, help wanted, help wanted, help wanted. We need plantation workers of Slavelandia. We're not paying you anything. This is better than the plantation system because back then you had to house them and feed them. Now we just give you enough money, get the hell out of here and come back tomorrow. By the way, why do you think they're letting all these immigrants come in? Cheap labor. Don't believe me? Read the news. Some of the news. Most of the news is a load of crap. Germany, one after another, we need more labor. No, you don't. They want cheap labor. The bigs have taken over everything. They did away with the Robinson-Patman Act, Sherman Antitrust Act, Clayton Antitrust Act, Glass-Steagall Act, one act after another. So the bigs got bigger. Every week in the Trends Journal magazine, by the way, we have a column of the bigs getting bigger, all the merger and acquisition activity. And then when they launched the COVID war, again, in trend forecasting, all things are connected. One of my sayings is opportunity misses those who view the world through the eyes of their profession. So again, going back to what we're talking about, merger and acquisition activity in the COVID war. They brought zero interest rate policy, dumped trillions of dollars of cheap money into the system, and M&A activity in 2021 hit an all-time high because of the zero interest rate policy.
Yeah.
It kept it negative over in Europe.
We see the same thing in Europe. Like in Holland, for example, every inner city is starting to look the same because the chains have taken over all the main streets. So there are almost no individual shops anymore because all the chains are there. And of course, during COVID time, it was the smaller entrepreneurs who suffered, and the big chains, they were able to do the delivery, and they kept on going, and they were actually growing bigger and bigger. But at the same time, you're a liberty lover. I'm a liberty lover as well. How could you really avoid companies from merging and trying to be more efficient, trying to build up skill? Like that's sort of an inevitable direction that any society seems to take, right? Even before COVID, we saw that trend, of course, already happening.
Oh yeah. No, they did away with the antitrust laws that prohibited this. It was not allowed before. Again, these guys are little scumbags, and the girls too, that people call. They're lawmakers. They're suck-up pieces of garbage scum crap that get paid off by the big corporations, the hedge funds, the private equity groups, and everybody else. Morons and imbeciles call it campaign contributions. Adults call it bribes and payoffs. And by the way, I began my career working on major political campaigns in Westchester County, which is the richest county in America at the time. They sent me up to Albany. I was the assistant to the Secretary of the New York State Senate. I designed and instructed a course called American Politics and Campaign Technology, how to run political campaigns, taught it at St. John's University. I have a picture when I picked up Ronald Reagan at the Chicago Hilton, 1976. I'm 30 years old. Put on a brunch with him and 16 of our board of directors. 2 days before he announcing he's running against Gerald Ford for the nomination of the Republican Party. I've been with presidents, prime ministers, and princes. I've been on the other side. It's a freak show. You got low-life pieces of crap running your life. Oh, you look at that little Catzone Macron with a pecker about this big with his little fake hair? No, I like Sunak over there, the scumbag suck-up. Don't you know who my wife is? And all the money I got came from? Oh, no, I like Olaf Schultz, dumber than shit. How about bullshit Biden? The scumbag before him, narcissistic Trump. The Nobel Peace of Crap Prize winner, Barack Obama. Another little dick that couldn't fight his way out of a paper bag, but love war. Love war. I want that guy Gaddafi out of there. No, say it properly. Folks, we need to get him out of there to bring freedom and liberty to Libya. Yeah, the richest country in Africa where the people had more rights and benefits than most of the world. Now it's a shithole. All right, you got it? Everything has been sold out. The maniacs are in charge. The bankster bandits run the country. The drug dealers that people call big pharma, big tech, and the military-industrial complex. End of story. They own it.
And how would you go about changing this setup then? Is it possible at all?
We need a renaissance. That's the only way I see it happen. You know, the after the Black Plague, some 60% of Europe was wiped out, and it was the Renaissance, alla Romana all'antica, in the manner of the Romans and the ancients, to describe the quality of their work. Look at what society looks like. It's America. 42% of the people are obese. Guys my age wearing baseball caps and other people wearing them backwards.
Yeah.
I really get it. I mean, I grew up at a time, with mini skirts, and hot chicks. Now it's blimpitis everywhere.
Because you like 76 or 70. What's your age?
77.
Yeah, you look amazing for someone 77-year-old. So good for you.
Well, again, we had one of the first books I worked on. Natural Healing, back in 1986 when the trend was just beginning. And by the way, one of the other trends that I came up with were the first ones to talk about gourmet coffees, when they used to have all crappy coffees back in the 80s, the bottled water trend. the term clean food. New York Times even did a story on that one. So again, tracking trends is looking at it in all different levels of life. And I have to tell you that my heart is broken to see the decline of society. I was the number 2 guy running a major trade association. And after our trade show, we put on a major event and took over the Atlanta Convention Center and had Ella Fitzgerald, which young people never heard of anymore. Got Taylor Swift, you know. Yeah, this is again the Trends Journal, right? We're giving what nobody else in the world is giving. Go to the Cartoon News Network, CNN. Just before we went on the air, this is their breaking news. Cassie Ventura breaks silence on Diddy assault video. Domestic violence is, in capital letters, the issue. Sean Daddy Combs accused of sexual assault in new lawsuit from ex-winner of MTV's Model Mission. Opinion. Diddy's apology to Ventura rings hollow. That's what they call breaking news. Did she get fucked? What the fuck? What do I care about this shit? What do I care? Here, this is the Wall Street Journal. I pay $5 a day for this. Big picture there. Ahoy, sailors. Lady Liberty welcomes Fleet Week. How about go screw yourself? What the hell do I know? I need economic data.
Yeah,
oh no!
I read, your journal is like the last week's publication had like 200 pages or something. And what's the price?
$2, and if they subscribe through you, it's a grand total of $2.50 a week.
Yeah, because people can, if they use affiliate, they can go to trendsjournal.com/subscribe. If they fill in Reinvent Money, they get a 10% discount. But yeah, the amount of work you put in every week for that amount, that's crazy.
We're giving it what nobody else. Again, best-selling books. Trends 2000, trend tracking. It's not BS. Yeah, far better than Megatrends, Time Magazine, one after another. I've been at this for 44 years. Nobody gives you trend forecast. Nobody, because they don't know how. They don't teach it at Harvard, Princeton, Yale, Oxford, Cambridge. They don't know how to do it. Every year at the end of the year, this is what happened last year. Hey, son, what's going to happen next year? We don't know. Again, these papers have turned into nothing. I'm lucky to get an article or two out of these that are trendworthy. I need data. So we cover the world. We subscribe to all different, I'll give you an example. The Israel war going on. I subscribe to Haaretz, the Israeli newspaper. Go to Jerusalem Post, Times of Israel, go to Al Jazeera, go to IRNA, go to ISNA, go to Tehran Times. I want to hear what the Iranians are saying. So what we do is we cover the world.
Yeah.
And then we give, this is what they're reporting. Here's our trends analysis. Here's our trend forecast. So it's not propaganda.
No, exactly. That's also in Europe, for example. Where in Holland, I'm not supposed to watch RT. I mean, I'm in all sorts of groups. I get all the information also from the Russian side. Only in that way, by listening to what the West says, by listening to what's being published in Russia, you get a complete picture. And I think in your journal, you try to paint the global picture, connect all the dots, and only in that way you're able to come up with the proper forecast. And that's, of course, what's missing in most mainstream outlets, that they only show one side of the story, and thereby they're not able to provide an accurate understanding and forecast of what's going to happen. You know
why they show one side of the story?
Yeah, because they want to keep the status quo intact.
They're prostitutes. They're media whores that get paid to put out by their corporate pimps, like the guy that owns this Murdoch, and they're government whore masters. You look at the little clown girls and boys, the little prostitutes. Oh, Psaki. Oh, she was the mouthpiece for Biden. Oh, she's on MSNBC. One little clown after another on the major media. They're the same. It's a revolving door. It used to call the media the fourth estate. You had the judicial branch, the executive branch, and the congressional branch. And the media used to be the fourth estate, meaning that they would report on the other three. It's all gone. Journalism is dead. The bigs bought out everything. And again, talking about why it happened, another little scumbag that every time he got caught with his pants down, bombs away over Baghdad, Bill Clinton. That little bastard, he destroyed this country more than the beginning of the worst. He gave us NAFTA, brought China into the World Trade Organization. But going back to the media, the Federal Communications Act of 1996, he did away with the restrictions that allowed the bigs to buy up everything. There were thousands of independent radio stations, newspapers, and TV stations in America at one time. Now, 6 companies control 92% of all the media.
Yeah, but if, let's say, in other countries they have more lax laws and they allow companies to merge and become very big, are you able, as let's say, if the United States wants to change and they want all these trust laws to come back and make companies smaller again, are you able then to withstand all the big companies from other countries that also want to do business with the states for a much lower cost? Like look at China, for example. They're much better able to produce at scale for better prices than in the US and Europe. Or you want to also just build all these trade barriers, but then we lose also a lot of the advantages of being a globalized world where companies specialize, countries specialize. It also has benefits, right? Free market capitalism does also benefit people.
Here, again, the little bastard Bill Clinton brought NAFTA and brought China into the World Trade Organization. You look at China's GDP before they came into the World Trade Organization. They officially came in, by the way, 2 weeks after 9/11. It's like this. They come in and it skyrockets up. You want to do business in China? Yeah, you can open up a company here. You only own 49% of it. We own 50% of it. We don't have the technology. We don't have what it takes, but you do, so come over here. That's why China now has everything that they need, because the West gave it to them, Europe and the United States. Let's go back and look what's going on in Russia. You see their latest GDP numbers?
Better than ours.
That's right. And let's go back to when the COVID war, the Ukraine war began on February 24th, 2022. All the sanctions put on Russia. All the companies leaving Russia. We forecast in the Trends Journal, this isn't going to hurt them. Why? Because Russia has all the human and natural resources they need to be self-sufficient and self-sustaining.
And if allies such as China, so in the end, these sanctions will be circumvented by just trading with your allies, and they would import from the West anyway. So
exactly. So self-sustaining economies are the way to go. It's not about global trade. You don't have to buy cheap crap. Once upon a time, when they had these sanctions on, you had a middle class in America. And now it's just plantation workers of Slavelandia. You had factories everywhere. All gone. All gone.
Yeah.
We don't want those dirty factories.
You want to go back to a world then where most countries are able to be sustainable, self-sustainable, are able to produce their own goods. So
yeah.
But is that really the solution then? Because it also sounds to me like it becomes a very inefficient. I understand why there's benefits to be able to take care of yourselves and be able to produce everything yourself, but sort of goes against the Ricardo laws, where we would all also benefit from having trades more specialized.
Yeah, you could have trade, but you buy things that here. I grew up during the Vietnam War. Those dirty commies, if we don't stop them, they're going to take over all of Asia. Before you know it, those dominoes will keep falling. They'll hit the shores of California. Same commies are running Vietnam, right? Same communist country. The United States, it's the second biggest importer of clothing and shoes, come from Vietnam. They used to make clothing and shoes in America. It built the middle class when you had manufacturing. When you're working at Walmart, Target, Lowe's, Home Depot, you're not making anything. When you worked in factories and they were producing products, you had a middle class. America's manufacturing, you ready?
Yeah.
11% of its GDP. That's it.
Yeah.
Consumption, 70%.
Yeah, that's out of whack. And what do you think will be the trigger then? Like you say, for example, you would like to see a renaissance in the West. Right now, we are involved in all sorts of wars. You worry about a third world war that we are already in, but it could escalate and we could face nuclear annihilation. Describe to me, in terms of trend forecasting, what do you see next year, for example, in terms of how all these wars escalate and how it could eventually lead to perhaps a breaking point where countries would eventually, hopefully, we're not all annihilated by that time, but we would all maybe go back to more national production and more of the world that you just described? Or could you paint a picture?
It'd be the end of the world. There's again, World War III has already begun. It began with the Ukraine war. You go back to our Trends Journal 2 days before Russia's invasion. Again, totally opposed to what Russia did. Totally understand why they did it. This is your Trends Journal when it used to be a monthly back in 2014. Now it's a weekly. Look how happy that guy is. Washington driving the world to the final war. Again, 2 days before it happened, we said it went from COVID war to Ukraine war to world war. This is 2 days, February 22nd, 2022. We said this. This is from 2014. Excuse me. Ukraine presented the perfect opportunity for Washington to advance its hegemonic agenda. In a speech at the National Press Club last December, which is December 2013, and anybody could look this up, Assistant Secretary of State Victoria Nuland boasted that Washington had invested $5 billion in non-governmental organizations in Ukraine for the purpose to teach democracy. They overthrew the democratically elected government of Viktor Yanukovych. Because, again, people, as we say in the Bronx, people don't know dick about shit. Ukraine, not according to me, according to the European Union, was the most corrupt country in Europe. The latest poll out of Ukraine, 89% of the people are concerned about corruption. So when the Soviet Union broke up, Ukraine went down. They needed money. They were going to do a deal with the IMF and the European Central Bank. Putin came along and said, listen, I got a better deal for you. I'll give you lower interest rates and I'm going to cut your oil prices. No, you're not. And that's when they overthrew Yanukovych. People have no clue about this. So going back, World War III has begun. You got the Israel war going on. One of my sayings is when all else fails, they take you to war. People forget, they don't know, about the 39 weeks of protests going on in Israel before Hamas attacked on October 7th of last year. Because of the Judicial Reform Act that the criminal in charge, Netanyahu, was trying to push through so he wouldn't be brought up on the charges that are against him. 39 weeks of protest, not my language, out of the mouth of another little slimeball, the president of Israel, Isaac Herzog. There was a civil war going on. You could Google it up. Herzog civil war. There was a civil war going on in Israel before this happened. Hamas attacked. Totally forgotten. Totally forgotten. As they're committing genocide in front of everybody's eyes, by the definition, by the way. And when all else fails, they take it to war. Same thing's going to happen with the United States. Same thing's going to happen with Europe. As the economies go down, what followed the Great Depression? World War II. What followed the dot-com bust? The War on Terror. Facts are there. Not making this up.
But then you could argue that in the US, if you look at sort of generic economic data, like GDP is going up, unemployment is relatively low, inflation went down. So just playing devil's advocate here, but you could also argue, look, Gerald, things are relatively fine in the US. So why are you worried about a depression?
Because when you look at the data and you look at the facts and you look at the surveys, the people living in misery. Look at the data. McDonald's, Kentucky Fried Chicken, all the crap food places, Starbucks. Let's go to Target. Let's go to Lowe's. Let's go to Home Depot. Let's go to all the numbers coming out. Macy's, one after another. Sales down. Sales down. Jobs being created. Again, look at the data. Most of the jobs in the healthcare sectors, social services, pay nothing. The jobs that are being created are in hospitality and service sectors, pay nothing. So you have to look at that data. Then, if oil prices spike, which they will when Israel escalates the war against Iran and Lebanon, and it hits $130 a barrel, it's going to crash the global economy and the equity markets. And what no one else is talking about, only us, it was one of our top trends. By the way, one of our top trends for 2024, it's right there for everybody to read, a golden year for gold. Oh, gold's only up about $400 since we made that forecast per ounce.
Yeah.
Another one, banks go bust. No one's talking about this.
Yeah, because last year we saw, of course, a few hiccups. Banks like Silicon Valley Bank went tits up, and in Europe was relatively calm with Credit Suisse, and UBS. But UBS, what happened in Europe was relatively minor compared to what happened in the US. So, what do you expect? You expect something like that to happen again? But how would it play out then?
Very simple. Again, all things are connected. When they launched the COVID war, you can't go to work. Get back in your house. So now people working from home, Zooming, and they're saying to themselves, I'm getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning to commute an hour and a half each way, destroying my life. How the hell was I doing that? I'm not going to do it anymore. Now, let's say I'm the guy that has these people working at home and I got 10 stories in an office building. I don't need them. Work at home. What do I need them? They're working in cubicles anyway. I don't see them.
Yeah.
I don't need all this space. Your office vacancy rate, meaning nobody in them. In New York City, 23%. 36% in San Francisco. 29% vacant in Portland, Oregon. On average in America, 20% vacancy rate. Nobody there. Now let's go to the occupancy rate. Google it up. Castle Systems with a K. Office occupancy rate, 51%.
Yeah. But it's not a bad thing, right? Because I like working from home too. I prefer being in the office with my colleagues because that's, to me, in that way you can breed culture and it's more efficient. But at the same time, I like not having to commute sometimes and spending more time with my family. So most of these offices can be redeployed as well. They can.
No, they can't.
No?
Offices built in the last 50 years can't be
Okay.
All they are big empty steel and glass structures.
So there will be write-offs of that debt, and that some
Not
of the banks
write-offs,
will.
they're going bust.
Yeah.
They're defaulting on their loans. And when they default on their, again, all things are connected. Let's go back to the COVID war. All the cheap money that they pumped into the economy. The banks got a load of dough. You don't go to work, here's money. What are they doing? They were buying treasuries. When we had zero interest rates, the treasuries weren't worth anything. Now I'm defaulting on my building. I can't pay the loan. The banks don't have the money to cover it. No one's talking about this.
So the Fed will step in then, like
Fed may
last
step
year.
in. You got $4 trillion. $4 trillion of commercial real estate loans coming due in the next 2.5 years. Yeah, the Fed will step in. What'll that do? It'll
create more debt, create more inflation.
Yeah. And bring gold prices back up.
Yeah. So that's
now,
you expect more bank defaults and more intervention from the US, from the Fed. And
yeah, but again, when the banks go bust, it hits Wall Street. Look what happened in 2023 when Silicon Conman Valley went bust. First Republic. What was the other one? Signature. 3 banks went bust. Gold prices skyrocketed and the equities plummeted. 3 banks. Now you're looking at about almost 300 banks, according to some of the data. Minimum of 30 banks that are in financial distress because there's going to be defaults on these commercial real estate, and all the REITs that people invested in are going to go way down. No one's talking about this. No one.
You expect gold to then go as high as $3,000 per troy ounce?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And just going back a little bit to geopolitics, then I talked to John Mersheimer. He also expects things to get worse and to escalate. We haven't talked yet about what would happen between China and the US regarding Taiwan, for example. But how would it escalate, and how would this third world war we're in develop its coming time?
All right. There's a thing, again, you could Google this up so you know I'm not making it up. Google up Samson, Samson option. Israel says if they lose, they're going nuclear. They have between 200 and 400 illegal nuclear weapons, but they could have nuclear weapons. Iran can't, but they're the chosen people because it says so in the, chapter 6, section 8 in the book that they made up. Anyway, they're going to go nuclear if they lose. Then you're going to see Ukraine ramp up the war against Russia, targeting deeper and deeper inside Russia. When all else fails, they take it to war. Ukraine needs more support. Again, there's no way in the world that Ukraine's going to defeat Russia. We said it in the beginning. If Napoleon couldn't do it, leaving Poland in 1812 with 420,000 troops and coming back with 10,000, if Hitler couldn't do it with Operation Barbarossa, that killed over 25 million Russians, and they were the first to beat the Germans, who with a brain bigger than a pea would think that Ukraine's going to beat them? So Ukraine is going to do something very, very dramatic to attack Russia, maybe blow up a nuclear power plant. They're going to do something, and something's going to happen where they're like another 9/11 thing where the people will support war. 90% of the people swallow the crap spewing out of the mouth of a little boy with a pair of cojones smaller than a mothball, a little ignorant piece of crap daddy's boy born on third base, thought he had a home run, little Georgie Bush, back in 2001. We're going to get that guy Osama bin Laden, dead or alive. 90% of Americans supported the Afghan war, the longest war in American history. A total failure, as with all of America's wars since the end of World War II.
But would that then inevitably lead to a nuclear showdown between the West and Russia, or?
Again, you don't
And
know
how can
how
it be
it's going to
avoided?
happen.
How can this fate be avoided? And how can we look forward to the Renaissance that you
No, it's
described
going to be
earlier?
the end of life if we don't have peace. Not a penny. I launched Occupy Peace movement over a decade ago.
You have a march in September, right? I guess in New York, to have a lot of people on the streets to protest against the wars and to advocate for peace. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, but where are the billionaires? Not a penny for peace. Not a penny. Could you imagine if all the billionaires gave $1 billion, chump change for them? Chump change. What they got? 18 billion a year. I tell you what, give 100 million for a peace movement. We'd have peace on earth. But they're pieces of shit. They don't do anything for peace. If we don't have a peace movement, it's going to be the end of life on earth. And idiots, morons. Oh, we got a bomb shelter. Oh yeah, life is going to be so beautiful after the nuclear annihilation. Here, don't believe me. Google it up. John F. Kennedy, once upon a time, President of the United States, 1963, June, address to the graduating students at American University. He says that if we go to war against the Soviet Union, back then that's what they called it, a nuclear war, life on Earth will be destroyed within 24 hours. That was back then.
And how can we achieve lasting peace in the Ukraine?
They got to make a deal. We said they should have had a peace deal before the thing began. There's no way in the world that Russia's going to give up what they had. Again, people have no idea. What, they kill over 15,000 people in the Donbass region? Ukraine before this happened? And then they have to make a peace deal.
And in Israel, I suppose a two-state solution is what you're after.
No, I believe in a one-state solution. And who made up this crap that God gave them the land? Screw you. Go fuck off. I don't want to hear your shit. Oh, they just found a skull from somebody like 1 million years old or something? Oh no, Celente. It all began when Moses came down with 10 commandments. And God said to Moses, shove it up your, Oh, hey, how about this one? You believe in the 10 commandments? How about thou shalt not kill? They made up this crap. Here. Trends Journal. Wait, 1 minute. Trends Journal, 2006, when it used to be a quarterly. Crusades 2000. Regardless of what England's reasons or intentions were, self-serving or otherwise, Crusades 2000 was set in motion by the 1917 Balfour Declaration that laid the foundation for Israel. Quote, His Majesty's government views with favor the establishment in Palestine of a national home for the Jewish people. And we will use our best endeavors to facilitate the achievement of this objective. Hey, wait a minute. His Majesty's government, some dirty bastard where the sun never sets on the British Empire, where you're slaughtering people all over the world? And what the hell are you saying what should be going on in Palestine? Hey, I'm the royal family. Don't you see how I dress up with all my drag? Oh, brought to you by the Rothschilds? Oh, and then the United Nations that was created after World War II with 56 members says, oh yeah, this land belongs to Israel. God gave them that. Hey, what if I don't believe in your God? Can you handle that? Not telling you to believe in my God. Don't you tell me I gotta swallow your crap. They made up this shit. Go back to Isaac Herzl, the Zionist movement created in the late 1800s.
Yeah, and this one-state solution, how would it look like then?
Everybody equal. You want to call it a democracy? It's not a democracy, according to Human Rights Watch. One after another is an apartheid state. The Jewish people have more rights than the Arabs. The facts are there. The facts are there. So all of you that don't believe it, go fact yourself.
And how in the US we have, of course, presidential elections coming up. Is there any chance that the outcome of that will influence the whole chain of events that you're just describing?
Yeah, if Trump gets in, it'll even get worse. Yeah, look what his son is.
Most people say, like, if a lot of people I talk to say, look, Trump at least thinks or believes he can solve Ukraine in one day, but you believe it gets worse even with Trump.
Yeah, I'll tell you why. You got his little son-in-law there, another arrogant little boy, Jared Kushner. Jared Kushner, former President Donald Trump's son-in-law, described waterfront property in the Gaza Strip as, quote, valuable. In a February 15th event at Harvard University, I'm one of the chosen people, member of the club. Kushner, who served as a senior advisor of Trump during his term at the White House, said, quote, Gaza waterfront property could be very valuable. It's a little bit of an unfortunate situation there. Little bit of an unfortunate situation. Genocide being committed. Over 1 million people's at home. Over 70% of Gaza has been destroyed. And we're getting Hamas. They live in everybody's house. Unfortunate situation. A little bit, right? Are you ready? I would do my best to move the people out of there and clean it up. He went on that Israel should move the Palestinian civilians into the Negev desert.
Yeah, all the way in the south.
This is a bastard saying this shit. It's genocide by definition. That's Trump. Trump is saying that Biden's not doing enough for Israel to keep slaughtering the people. I mean, Trump said Biden's not doing enough. Again, it's the definition of genocide when you look it up.
Yeah. Well, so all in all, the future looks bleak.
Yep.
Anything hopeful for me or the viewers, Gerald?
Yeah, the only thing that people need to do to change it is do everything they can to get in the best shape they can, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. You know, when I was a kid, and my father, may he rest in peace, and I just started learning about things, I get upset, and he said to me, son, take it easy. People have little minds. Then there was a guy by the name of Samuel Adams, founding father of the United States. It does not take a majority to prevail, but rather an irate, tireless minority, keen on setting brush fires of freedom in the minds of men.
Beautifully said.
And that's what we need to do. I'm irate. And by the way, people say I'm angry. Yeah, I'm angry. You're right. And St. Thomas Aquinas, you could look this one up, said that anyone that is not angry when it was morally justifiable to be angry is immoral. And it's morally justifiable to be angry when you're seeing the slaughter of everybody in front of the Palestinians in front of everybody's eyes. And so the people have to unite for peace. And we need to bring life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness back to the soul of the people. Again, as I say to people, what's your favorite war? You like the Peloponnesian War? Well, I like the 100-Year War. The War of Roses was lovely. World War I, look at all the wars.
Awful.
You got maniacs in charge. I was on the other side. It's a freak show. Look at the faces of the freaks. And the motto of the Trends Journal magazine is think for yourself. We don't tell you what to do.
Yeah.
Is that with Trends Analysis? And again, no magazine, and it's 30-day money-back guarantees. It's not costing you anything. No magazine provides you with geopolitical, and socioeconomic trends analysis and trend forecasts like the Trends Journal.
And you went from quarterly to monthly to weekly now, so you've never worked as hard as you do right now. And but when things heat up even more, are you going to daily issues or?
Yeah, again, we're doing everything we can to give the people the best that we can.
Yeah.
And
well, if people want to sign up for your journal, they can go to trendsjournal.com /subscribe and they can use Reinvent Money as a code to get a discount of 10%.
That's right.
Well, thanks so much, Gerald, for your insights. And you're clearly someone who thinks for himself, a very autonomous thinker, very refreshing to hear. Thanks so much, and let's do it again in the future.
Yeah. I hope the future is here. Again, I'm heartbroken. I loved America, and now I'm so sad to see what's happened to it. And as I said to you before, I'm only me because I'm a Napolitano, born in the Bronx, 1946, at the height of America, right after World War II.
Yeah.
The spirit was so alive and so beautiful, and now it's all gone. I mean, one of my books is called What Zidzi Gave Honey Boy. It used to be a TV series, Everyone Loves Raymond, and the woman that used to play the mother, the last starring role, was playing my aunt. And it's about growing up in the Bronx and back in the day. And I have photos here of, them and my aunts and uncles. And this is a picture, I think you see it, of my parents' wedding, 1934. Look at the way they're dressed.
Yeah.
The height of the Depression. My father, may they all rest in peace, worked in a fish store.
Still look like a gentleman.
Yeah. They were laborers, construction workers. My aunts used to work in factories. Look at the style that was there. The music, the jazz. It was the soul of America. And now it's, did he screw his girlfriend up her butt? I mean, that's the Taylor Swift get laid last night. I mean, look at America. It breaks my heart. And that's why I do everything I can in the name of Occupy Peace and to bring back the spirit of the country that I love so much.
Beautiful words to end with, Gerald. I wish you all the best with your journal and with everything you do. And let's keep in touch.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for all you're doing.